Book 19. Book 19. Book 19. Argument. Thetis, presenting armor to her son, he calls a court with full reflection of all his wrath, takes of the king of men free offered gifts. All take their breakfast then, he only fast. All offered gifts. All take their breakfast then, he only fasting, arms, and brings abroad the Grecian host. And, hearing the abode of his near death by Xanthus prophesied, the horse for his soul. The Grecian host, and, hearing his abode of his near death by Xanthus prophesied, the horse for his so bold presage doth chide. I think I wrote a pronunciation for that word. I think it's presage. Presage. Okay. The horse for his so bold presage doth chide. Another argument. Tau gives the anger period, and great Achilles comes abroad. Tau gives the anger period, and great Achilles comes abroad. And great Achilles comes abroad. The moon arose. Book 19. The moon arose, and from the ocean in her saffron robe gave light to all. In her saffron robe gave light to all, as well to gods as men of the underglobe. The moon arose, and from the ocean in her saffron robe gave light to all. And from the ocean in her saffron robe gave light to all, as well to gods as men of the underglobe. As well to gods as men of the underglobe. Thetis stooped home, and found the prostrate person of her son about his friend, still pouring out himself in passion, a number more being heavy consorts to him in his cares. Amongst them all Thetis appeared, and sacred comforters made these short words. All right, I didn't pull in my references yet. Here, let's do this now. So obviously Thetis. Right now, we're going to need Ulysses. Probably not the angry version, but I'll pull that in as well. We're going to need, obviously, Agamemnon and Achilles. And we'll do Agamemnon announcement and regular. Achilles. We're going to need Ulysses. Oh, I already have him. I don't think Zeus or Jupiter or Juno are going to come into this one. I don't think so. Okay, let's just take that for now. And we'll do Thetis. Why weeps my son? What grieves thee? Speak, conceal not. All right. Sacred comforters made these short words. Though we must grieve, ye bear it thus, my son. It was no man that prostrated in this sad fashion thy dearest friend. It was a god that first laid on his hand, It was a god that first laid on his hand, whose will is law. The gods' decrees no human must Though we must grieve, ye bear it thus, my son. It was no man that prostrated in this sad fashion thy dearest friend. It was a god that first laid on his hand, whose will is law. The gods' decrees no human must The gods' decrees no human must The gods' decrees no human must withstand. Do thou embrace this fabric of a god, whose hand before no fabric of a god, whose Do thou embrace this fabric of a god, whose hand before never forged the like, and such as yet no human shoulder wore. Forged the like, and such as yet no human and such as yet no human shoulder wore. And such as yet no human shoulder wore. Thus setting down, the precious metal of the arms was such that all the room rung with the weight of every slenderest touch. Cold tremblings took the myrmidons, none durst sustain, all feared to oppose their eyes. Achilles yet, as soon as they appeared, stern anger entered. From his eyes, anger entered. From his eyes, as if the day star rose, a radiance terrifying men did all the state enclose. At length he took into his hands the rich gift of the god. At length he took into his hands the rich gift of the god. He took into his hands the rich gift of the god, and much pleased to behold the art that in the shield he showed, he brake forth into this applause. Let us ask some prophet, priest, or prove some dream interpreter, for dreams are often sent by Jove. Break forth into this applause. O mother, these right well show an immortal finger's touch. An immortal finger's touch. Man's hand must never deal with arms again. Now I will arm, yet that no honor make my friend forgotten, I much fear that no honor make my friend forgotten. I much fear, lest with the blows of flies, I much fear, lest with the blows of flies his brass-inflicted wounds are filed. Lest with the blows of flies his brass-inflicted wounds are filed. Life gone, his person lies all apt to putrefaction. She bade him doubt no harm of those offences. She would care to keep the petulant swarm of flies that usually taint the bodies of the slain from his friend's person. Though a year the earth's top should sustain his slaughtered body, it should still rest sound, and rather hold a better state than worse, since time that death first made him cold. Then worse, since time that death first made him cold. And so bade call a council to dispose of new alarms, where to the king that was the pastor of that flock in arms he should depose all anger, and put on a fortitude fit for his arms. All this his powers with dreadful strength endued. She, with her fair hand, stilled into the nostrils of his dear friend red nectar and ambrosia, which she did defend, the course from with which she did defend, with which she did defend the course, with which she did defend the course, with which she did defend the course from putrefaction. He trod along the shore, and summoned all the heroic Greeks, with all that spent before the time in exercise with him, the masters, pilots too, victors all. Victualers. I guess that's supposed to be victualers, like people who serve the victuals. Because in this scene, he's pulling in all the people, even the cooks and stuff. And I suppose that's victualers. But it has an apostrophe, victualers. From putrefact, with which she did defend the course from putrefaction. He trod along the shore, and summoned all the heroic Greeks, with all that spent before the time in exercise with him, the masters, pilots too, victualers and all and all, when they saw Achilles summoned so, swarmed to the council, having long left the laborious wars. To all these came two halting kings, true servitors of Mars, Tydides and wise Ithacus, both leaning on their spears, their wounds still painful, and both these sat first of all the peers. The last come was the king of men, sore wounded with the lance of Coon and Tenorides. That's got to be Antenorides. Hold on. Antenorides. Of Coon and Tenorides. All set, the first in utterance was Thetis' son, who rose and said, Atreides, had not this conferred most profit to us both, when both our enmities consumed us so? And for a wench, whom, when I chose for prize in laying Lyrnessus' ruined walls among our victories, amongst our victories, I would to heaven, as first she set her dainty foot aboard, Diana's hand had tumbled off, and with a javelin gored. For then the unmeasurable earth had not so thick been gnawed in death's convulsions by our friends, since my effects were drawn to such distemper. To our foe and our foe's chief friend, our jar brought profit. To our foe and our foe's chief friend, our jar brought profit. But the Greeks will never give an end to thought of what had prejudiced them. Past things yet past our aid. Prejudiced them. Past things yet past our aid. Fit grief. Past things yet past our aid. Fit grief for what wrath ruled in them must make the amends repaid, with what necessity of love now forbids our ire. Which I free effects obey. 'Tis for the senseless fire still to be burning, having stuff. Forbids our fit grief for what wrath ruled in them must make the amends repaid with that necessity of love that now forbids our ire. With our ire, which I with free effects obey. 'Tis for the senseless fire still to be burning, having stuff. But men must curb rage still, being framed with voluntary powers, as well to check the will as to give it rein. as well to check the will as give it reins. Give you then charge, that for our instant fight the Greeks may follow me to field. Instant fight, the Greeks may follow me to field, to try if still the night will bear out Trojans at our ships. I hope there is some one amongst their chief encouragers that will... Some one amongst their chief encouragers will thank me to be gone, and bring his heart down to his knees in that submission. The Greeks rejoiced to hear the heart of Peleus' mighty sons so qualified. And then the king, not rising from his throne for his late hurt, to get good ear, thus for his late hurt, to get good ear, for his late hurt, to get good ear, thus ordered his reply. Let's pull in Agamemnon. The announcement version we'll do here. Argives, for shame, contain! Ordered his reply. Princes of Greece, princes of Greece, princes of Greece, your states shall suffer no indignity, if, being far off, you stand and hear. If, being far off, you stand and hear. Nor fits it such as stand at greater distance to disturb the counsel now in hand by uproar, in their too much care of hearing. Some of force must lose some words, for some of force must lose some words. For hard it is, such a great concourse. Hard it is, in such a great... For hard it is, in such a great concourse, though hearers' ears be ne'er so sharp, to touch at all things spoke. And in assemblies of such trust, how can a man provoke fit power to hear, or leave to speak? Best auditors may there lose fittest words, and the most vocal orator fit ear. My main end, then, to satisfy Pelides with reply, my word shall prosecute. To him my speech especially shall bear direction. Yet I wish the court in council would give fit ear. My speech shall need attention of all. Oft have our peers of Greece much blamed my forcing of the prize due to Achilles, of which act not I, but destinies, and of which act not I, but destinies, and Jove himself, and black Erinyes, that cast false mist still betwixt us and our actions done, both by her power and will, our authors. What could I do then? The very day and hour of our debate, that fury stole in, that act on my power. And more, all things are done by strife, that ancient seed of Jove, Ate, that hurts all, perfects all. Her feet are soft, and move not on the earth. They bear her still aloft men's heads, and here the harmful hurts them. And there the harmful hurts them. Nor was I alone her prisoner. Hold on, I just want to check Erinyes. Yeah, okay. So I decided for this one it would be Erinyes, because of the way Chapman spells it, rather. This is a pickup line for earlier when he's talking about the black Erinyes. Not I, but destinies, and Jove himself, and black Erinyes, that cast false mist still betwixt us and our actions done. All right, back to the where I was. nor was I alone her prisoner. Jove, best of men and gods, hath been. Jove, best of men and gods, hath been. Not he himself had gone beyond. Not he himself hath gone beyond her fetters. No, she made a woman put them on. For when Alcmena was to vent the force of Hercules and... Let's just check Agamemnon's voice one more time. Argives, for shame, contain. Yeah, it seems right. Put them on. For when Alcmena was to vent the force of Hercules, in well-built Thebes, thus Jove triumphed. Hear, gods and goddesses, the words my joys urged. In this day, Lucina, bringing pain to laboring women, shall produce in the light of men a man that all his neighbor kings shall in his empire hold, and vaunt that more than manly race whose honored veins enfold my eminent blood. Saturnia conceived a presence slight, and urged conferments of his vaunt to infringe it. Her conceit in this sort urged. Thou wilt not hold thy word with this rare man, or thou wilt not hold thy word with this rare man, or, if thou wilt, confirm it with the oath Olympian, that whatsoever falls this day betwixt a woman's knees of those men's stocks that from thy blood derive their pedigrees, shall all his neighbor towns command. Jove, ignorant of fraud, took that great oath, which his great ill gave little cause to applaud. Down from Olympus' top she stooped, and quickly reached the place in Argos where the famous wife of Sthenelus, whose race he fetched from Jove. And quickly reached the place in Argos where the famous wife of Sthenelus, whose race he fetched from Jove by Perseus dwelt. He fetched from Jove by Perseus dwelt. Whose race, the wife of Sthenelus, whose race he fetched from Jove by Perseus, dwelt. She was but 7 months gone with issue, yet she brought it forth. Alcmena's matchless son delayed from light. Saturnia repressed the teeming throes of his great mother. Up to heaven she mounts again, and shows in glory her deceit to Jove. Bright lightning Jove, said she, now the Argives have an emperor, a son derived from thee is born to Persian Sthenelus. Now the Argives have an emperor. A son derived from thee is born to Persian Sthenelus, Eurystheus his name, noble and worthy of the rule thou sworest to him. This came close to the heart of Jupiter. And Ate, that had wrought this anger by Saturnia, by her bright hair he caught, held down her head, and over her made this infallible vow, that never to the cope of stars reascend that brow, being so unfortunate all. Thus, swinging her about, he cast her from the fiery heaven, who ever since thrust out her forked sting in the affairs of men. Jove ever since did grieve, since his dear issue Hercules by issue Hercules did by his vow achieve the unjust toils of Eurystheus. Thus fares it now with me, since under Hector's violence the Grecian progeny fell so unfitly by my spleen, whose falls he cast her from the fiery heaven, who ever since thrust out her forked sting in the affairs of men. Jove ever since did grieve, since his dear issue Hercules did by his vow achieve the unjust toils of Eurystheus. Thus fares it now with me, since under Hector's violence the Grecian progeny fell so unfitly by my spleen, whose falls will ever stick in my grieved thoughts, my weakness yet, Saturnius making sick the state of my mind held. Now, my weakness yet, Saturnius making sick the state my mind held, now recured, the amends shall make even weight with my offense. And therefore rouse thy spirits to the fight with all thy forces. All the gifts proposed thee at thy tent last day by royal Ithacus my officers shall present. And if it like thee, strike no stroke, though never so on thorns, my mind stands to thy friend's revenge, till my command adorns thy tents and coffers with such gifts as well may let thee know how much I wish thee satisfied. Thy tents and coffers with such gifts as well may let thee know how much I wish thee satisfied. He answered, Let us ask some prophet, priest, or prove. 1, 2. He answered. Let thy vow, renowned Atrides, at thy will be kept, as justice would, or keep. Let thy vow, renowned Atrides, at thy will be kept, as justice would, or keep thy gifts, 'tis all in thee. The counsel now we hold is for repairing our main field with all our fortitude. My fair show made brooks no retreat, nor must all our fortitude. My fair show made brooks no retreat, nor must delays delude our deeds' expectance. Yet undone the great work is deeds' expectance. Yet undone the great work is. All eyes must see Achilles in first fight All eyes must see Achilles in first fight, depeopling enemies, as well as counselling it in court, that every man set on may choose his man to imitate my exercise upon. Ulysses answered, Chryses, the mighty king of men, great Agamemnon sends thy loved seed by my hands to thine. My exercise upon. Ulysses answered, Do not yet, thou man made like the god. Do not yet, thou man made like the gods, take feasting men. Do not yet, thou man made like the gods, take fasting men to field. Suppose that whatsoever odds it brings against them with full men, thy boundless eminence can. It brings them It brings against them with full men, thy boundless eminence can amply answer. Yet refrain to tempt a violence. The conflict wearing out our men was late, and held as long, wherein most Jove stood for Troy. Wherein, though most Jove stood for Troy, he made our part. Though most Jove stood for Troy, he made our part strong to bear that most. But 'twas to bear, and that breeds little heart. Let wine and bread then add to it. They help the twofold part, the soul and the body. In a man both force and fortitude. All day men cannot fight and fast, though never so endued with minds to fight. For that supposed there lurks yet secretly thirst, hunger in the oppressed joints, which no mind can supply. They take away a marcher's knees. Men's bodies thoroughly fed, their minds share with them in their strength. And all day combated, one stirs not till you call off all. Dismiss them then to meet, and let Atrides tender here, in sight of all this seat, the gifts he promised. Let him swear before us all, and rise to that oath, that he never touched in any wanton wise the lady he enforced. Besides, that he remains in mind as chastely satisfied, not touched or privily inclined with future advantages. And last, 'tis fit he should approve all these rites at a solemn feast in honor of your love, that so you take no mangled law for merits absolute. And thus the honors you receive, resolving the pursuit of your friend's quarrel, will quit your sorrow for your friend. And thou will quit your sorrow for your friend. And thou, Atrides, in the taste of so severe an end, hereafter may on others hold. And thou, Atrides, in the taste of so severe an end, hereafter may on others hold a juster government. Nor will it aught impair a king to give sound content. Nor will it aught impair a king to give a sound content to any subject soundly wronged. Nor will it aught impair a king to give a sound content to any subject soundly wronged. I joy, replied the king, O Laertides, to hear thy liberal counselling, in which is all decorum kept, nor any point lacks touch that might be thought on to include a reconcilement, such as fits example and us too. My mind yet makes me swear, not your impulsion, and us too. My mind yet makes me swear, not your impulsion, and that mind shall rest so kind and clear that I will not forswear to God. Let then Achilles stay, though never so inflamed for fight, and all men here I pray to stay, till from my tents these gifts be brought here, and the truce at all parts finished before all. And thou of all And thou of all I choose, divine Ulysses, and command to choose of all your host youths of most honor to present to him of most honor, to present to him we honor most. To present to him we honor most the gifts we late vowed, and the dames. Mean space about our tents, Talthybius shall provide a boar, to crown these kind events with thankful service to Jove and to the god of light. Achilles answered, These affairs will show more requisite, great king of men, some other time, when our more free estates. These affairs will show more requisite, great king of men, some other time, when our more free estates yield fit cessation from the war, and when my spleen abates. But now, to all our shames besides, our friends... Hold on, I gotta take a drink here. Ooh, that coffee is cold. Our more free estates, yet free estates, yield fit cessation from the war, and when my spleen abates. But now, to all our shames besides, our friends by Hector slain, and Jove to friend lie unfetched off. Haste then, and meet your men, though I must still say my counsel would lead them fasting forth, and all together feast at night. Meat will be something worth when stomachs have made it way. Something worth when stomachs have... lie unfetched off. Haste then, and meet your men, though I must still say my command would lead them fasting forth, and all together feast at night. Meat will be something worth when stomachs first have made it way with venting infamy, and other sorrows late sustained, with longed-for wreaks that lie heavy upon them, for right's sake. Before which load begot from off my stomach, meat nor drink I vow shall down my throat, my friend being dead, who digged with wounds and bored through both his feet, lies. I vow shall down my throat, my friend being dead, who digged with wounds and bored through both his feet, lies in the entry of my tent and in tears. Lies in the entry of my... both his feet, lies in the entry of my tent, and in the tears doth fleet of his associates. Meat and drink have little merit then to comfort me, but blood. Meat and drink have little merit then to comfort me, but blood and death and deadly groans of men. To comfort me, but blood and death and deadly groans of men. But blood and death and deadly groans of men. The great in counsels, yet made good his former counsels thus. O Peleus' son, of all the Greeks, by much most valorous, better and mightier than myself, no little with thy lance I yield thy worth. Better and mightier than myself, no little with thy lance I yield thy worth. In wisdom yet, no less I dare advance my right above thee. since right above I dare advance my right above thee, since right above in years and knowing more. Let then thy mind rest in thy words. We quickly shall have store and all satiety of fight. I think I had a pronunciation for that word. Satiety. That's not what I would guess. Chryses, the mighty king of men. And knowing more, let then thy mind rest in thy words. We quickly shall have store and all satiety of fight. We quickly shall have store and all satiety of fight, whose steel heaps store of straw and little corn upon a floor, when Jove that doth withdraw all. When Jove that doth withdraw and join all battles, once begins to incline his balances, in which he weighs the lives of men. The Greeks you must not press to mourning with the belly. Death hath not to do with that in healthful men that mourn for friends. His steel we stumble at and fall at every day, you see, sufficient store and fast. What hour is it that any breathes? We must not use more haste than speed holds fit for our revenge. Nor should we mourn too much. Who dead is must be buried. Men's patience should be such that one day's moan should serve one man. The dead must end with death, and life last with what strengthens life. All those that held their breaths from death in fight, the more should eat, that so they may supply their fellows that have stuck in field, and fight incessantly. Let none expect reply to this, nor stay, for this shall stand or fall with some offense to him that looks for new command, whoever in dislike holds back. All join then, all things fit, allowed for all, set on a charge, at all parts answering it. This said, he choosed for noblest youths to bear the presents these, the sons of Nestor, and with them renowned Meriones, Phylides, Thoas, Lycomed, and Meges, all which went, and Melanippus. See, Chapman writes this again as Menalippus, but I'm pretty positive, I remember looking it up too, that the character is Melanippus, and I guess he just wrote it wrong every time. Yeah, it's Melanippus. Melanippos. I'm basically just overriding the way that he wrote that. All which went, and Melanippus. And Meges, all which went, and Melanippus, following Ulysses to the tent of Agamemnon. He but spake, and with the word the deed had joined effect. The fitness well was answered in the speed. The presents added to the dame the general did enforce were 20 cauldrons, tripods 7, 12 young and goodly horse, 7 ladies excellently seen in all Minerva's skill, the 8th Briseis, who had power to ravish every will. 12 talents of the finest gold, all which Ulysses weighed and carried first, And after him the other youths conveyed the other presents, tendered in all face of all the court. Up rose the king. Talthybius, whose voice had a report like to a god, called to the rites. There, having brought the boar, Atrides with his knife took say upon the part before, and lifting up his sacred hands to Jove to make his vows, grave silence struck the complete court, when casting his high brows up to the broad heaven, thus he spake. Now witness, Jupiter, first, highest, and thou best of gods, thou earth that all dost bear, thou sun, first, highest, and thou best of gods, thou earth that all doest bear, thou sun, ye furies under earth that every soul torment, whom impious perjury, under earth that every soul torment, whom impious perjury disdains, that not incontinent in bed or any other act to any slenderest touch of my light vows hath wronged the dame. And let my plagues be such as are inflicted by the gods, in all extremity of whomsoever perjured men, if godless perjury in least degree dishonor me. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And let my plagues be such as are inflicted by the gods in all extremity of whomsoever perjured men, if godless perjury in least degree, if godless perjury in least degree dishonor me. If godless perjury in least degree dishonor me. This said, the bristled throat of the submitted sacrifice with ruthless steel he cut, which straight into the hoary sea Talthybius cast to feed the sea-born nation. Then stood up the half-celestial seed of fair-haired Thetis, strengthening thus. Strengthening thus Atrides' innocence. Let's just pull Achilles again here. Let us ask some prophet, priest, or prove. Atrides' innocence. O Father Jupiter, from thee descends the confluence of all man's ill. For now I see the mighty king of men at no hand forced away my prize, nor first inflamed my spleen with any set ill in himself. But thou, the king of gods, incensed with Greece, made that the mean to all their periods. Which now amend we as we may, and give all suffrages to what wise Ithacus advised. Take breakfasts and address for instant conflict. Thus he raised the court, and all took way to several ships. The Myrmidons the presents did convey to Achilles' fleet, and in his tents disposed them, doing grace of seat and all rights to the dames. The horses put in place with all others of Iacides, When, like love's golden queen, Briseis in all ghastly wounds had dead Patroclus seen, she fell about of Iacides. When, like love's golden queen, Briseis in all ghastly wounds had dead Patroclus seen, she fell about him, shrieking out, and with her hands fell about him, shrieking out, and with her white hands tore her hair, her breasts, radiant cheeks, and drowned in warm tears did deplore his cruel destiny. At length she got power to express her violent passion, and thus spake this like the goddesses. Okay, I'm pretty sure Briseis has not spoken yet. She has not. So let's make a note for her voice coming in here. This is 5:02:03. And this is 1:03. Briseis. All right. Oh, good Patroclus, to my life the dearest grace it had. This like the goddesses. Oh, good Patroclus, to my life the dearest grace it had. I, wretched dame. Oh, good Patroclus, to my life the dearest grace it had. I, wretched dame, departing hence, enforced and dying sad, left thee alive when thou hadst cheered my poor captivity, and now returned, I find thee dead. Misery on misery, ever increasing with my steps. The Lord to whom my sire and dearest mother gave my life in nuptials, his life's fire I saw before our city gates extinguished, and his fate three of my worthy brothers' lives in one womb generate, felt all in that. Oh, okay. Gates extinguished. And his fate, three of my worthy brothers' lives in one womb generate, felt all in that black day of death. And when Achilles' hand hath slain all these, and razed the town Maeetes did command. I can't remember what I put for Maeetes. The town Maeetes did command, all cause of never-ending griefs presented. Thou tookst all on thy endeavor to convert to joy as general, affirming that hurt should heal, and thou wouldst make thy friend, brave captain that thou wert, supply my vowed husband's end, and in rich Phthia celebrate amongst his myrmidons our nuptial banquets, for which grace with these most worthy moans I never shall be satiate, though I never shall be satiate, thou ever being kind, ever delightsome, one sweet grace fed still with one sweet mind. Sweet grace fed still with one sweet mind. Thus spake she, weeping. weeping. And with her did the other ladies moan Patroclus' fortunes and pretexts. Did the other ladies moan Patroclus' fortunes, in pretext, but in sad truth their own. About Iacides himself the kings of Greece were placed, entreating him to food, and he entreated them as fast, still intermixing words to food. And he entreated them as fast, still intermixing words and sighs. If any friend were there of all his dearest, they would cease, and offer him no cheer but his due sorrows. For before the sun had left that sky, he would not eat. He would not eat, but of that day sustain the extremity.